2012, President Obama held a press conference to announce the National Mortgage Settlement. The president calls it a landmark settlement with the nation's largest banks, saying that it would, quote, speed relief to the hardest hit homeowners, end some of the most abusive practices of the mortgage industry, and begin to turn the page on an era of recklessness that has left so much damage in its wake. Sounds good and righteous, right? Among other provisions, the settlement established oversight monitors, people whose job it would be to check over bank data every quarter. They are supposed to make sure banks are no longer filing invalid documents, foreclosing on properties when they have no legal right to do so, and doing all the other criminal activities they were doing that got the country into this housing mess. The first reports are due this month, so they'd better come back clean or else those banks are going to pay for their criminal activities this time around, right? Actually, wrong. Silly American, of course the banks aren't going to face penalties for criminal activity in the housing market, settlement or no settlement. You see, under the settlement, banks are allowed a 5 to 10% threshold error rate, which means banks can violate the legal standards on 1 out of every 20 mortgages they service. To put that in context, 5% of all mortgages in the U.S. equals 2.5 million homes. So 2.5 million mortgages can be completely fraudulent, and that would be perfectly fine under Obama's landmark settlement. The best part, though, is that the reviews the settlement monitors use to assess the bank's compliance with law are written by people paid by the banks themselves. That's right, the banks pay the people responsible for reporting on the bank's adherence to the law. That's gotta ensure impartiality, right? Organizations like the Center for Investigative Reporting have already found that banks continue to file invalid documents and foreclose on properties to which they have no legal right. So, the banks are continuing to screw Americans out of their homes with the help of the government. And they continue to do so without consequence. Think Obama will hold a press conference announcing that? Don't hold your breath. Tonight, let's talk about that by following me on Twitter @TheResident.